In this video, we'll look at how to make tables with our census at school data on Statcrunch. To make tables, you go to Stat and go to Tables. And the two tables we're going to look at are frequency tables and contingency tables. So let's look at a frequency table first. Let's make a frequency table of superpower. So go to superpower. And notice we have two things checked. Frequency and relative frequency are both selected here automatically. So we're going to go ahead and push compute and see what we get. So notice here we have the superpowers arranged in alphabetical order. How many of the five? We have a count of 432 that answered this question, and how many of each picked the particular superpower and the percentage. Now what's nice here is you can click on different columns and it will order them in order of frequency. And before, when we clicked on this, it was in alphabetical order. Now it's in frequency order. So this is, I think it's very helpful to see that here the majority chose freeze time as their favorite superpower, followed closely by flying and telepathy. Now it's a little more interesting to look at a contingency table, which is another name for a two-way table. So let's look at contingency tables and with data, since we have a table of raw data here. And what I want to know is what might affect someone's choice of superpower. So let's take a look at, let's use our row variable as our explanatory variable, our variable which might explain the choice. So we're going to pick gender, and then for our column we'll do superpower again. Sorry, I've got a little bit of a froggy throat. And it's going to automatically do what's called a chi-square test for independence. That's something you're going to learn second semester, so you can kind of ignore that for right now. Okay, so when we look at our contingency or our two-way table, we see our rows are female and male, and then the columns are the different superpowers. We have row totals and column totals, from which we could find our marginal distributions. And then we have how many females and how many males chose each superpower, which would be where we would find our conditional values. You can see here that we have different numbers of males and females, so it'd be kind of difficult to see how to compare these numbers since they're in counts and not in percent. So that we do have some options here. If we go to edit here, we can also display the row percents. And if we display the row percents, sorry, I had to take a phone call really quickly. Notice here now we have what percent, and you can tell which percentage we're doing it because down here we have not a total of 100%. So this is saying 24% of all of the respondents chose flying as their favorite superpower. 20% of females chose flying and 28% of males chose flying. So notice we see some difference between males and females. 8% more males chose flying than females. About 7% more males than females chose freeze time. About 2% more males chose invisibility, and about 3% more chose superstring. That's because 20% more females than males chose telepathy. That was a very popular choice. So when we looked at our overall choices, we saw that the overall choice was freeze time was the overall biggest choice for both together, but females were much more likely to choose telepathy than they were any others. So you can see more information comparing females to males by doing the row percentages. Now what would happen if we chose column percentages instead? So let's do column percent instead. Now notice here we're saying 38% of people who chose flying as their favorite were female and 61% were male. Notice here we say 66% of those who chose telepathy as their favorite were female and 33% were males. So this tells us a little bit different information. If you're wanting to compare females to males, it's better to do row percentages rather than column percentages. So I'm going to go back to that. But that's how you make tables on Statcrunch.